I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So do we actually want to discuss the bylaws?
Let's let her take the roll, and if you take it really slow, I think we're going to have another member show up. He did tell me spoke to him earlier. I think he's going to be here in person. That would be Councilmember Lublin, who's a member of the board. So I call the roll, and then if he shows, we can put it in the record that he gets here. So.
Sure. Ackley?
Here.
Allen?
Here.
Blair?
Here.
Easter? Lublin? Marshall?
Here.
Michigan?
Here.
Millen?
Here.
Schuman? Smith? Wlodarczyk. Chairman Blair, we do have a quorum for this afternoon.
Okay. Do we actually want to discuss the bylaws, Dennis?
Okay, did we hit correspondence yet? Let's,
Not yet, but I would like to inform the board that DDA board member Pat Wlodarczyk did submit her resignation. I'd like to read her correspondence into the record. To the DDA board, it is with regret that I tender my resignation from the DDA Board of Directors effective immediately. It has been a pleasure serving on the board for the past 18 years, and I wish the DDA and the City of Walled Lake continued success.
If we're already down on correspondence, I think appropriate for the board to create the record to move, receive, and file, and forward to the City Council for final handling of the resignation. They are the appointing authority with the mayor and the City Council.
Perfect.
So, but our record should show that we received and filed it here as well.
Okay.
Also, if the managing director and recording secretary could note that Council Member Lublin, who's a board member, has arrived.
Yes, thank you.
Audience.
I would also like to add, if any board member has anyone that they would like or thinks is interested in the DDA, please have them submit an application to City Hall. I do have a couple of individuals who I believe are going to submit applications, but until it happens, it doesn't happen. So I would like to see it done by the time I get into town this coming weekend and can appoint Tuesday night, but we'll see what happens. I think it's important to get as full a board as we can.
Absolutely. Audience participation?
Chairman Blair, does not look like there are any audience members with us in person or attending electronically that wish to speak at this time.
Okay. Do we want to have a discussion regarding the bylaws?
Yeah, we can do that here. I think that you have a copy of them. Have they been handed out, Ms. Jakeway?
Not yet, but I can provide that.
Could you please do that? There's a copy of some past bylaws. The statute that authorizes the creation of the DDA, and along with the ordinance, requires bylaws. Typically, it doesn't have a lot of bearing on what we get done here, but it's been some years since anybody's taken a look at it, and it's this board that would have to pass any changes and then pass them, and they have to be approved to the City Council later. So what I'm suggesting you do is you take a look at this. Any questions? Again, these are old packets. Any bylaw changes that may affect the board, we're going to propose a new set simply because it's time for the board to review it and see if there's any adjustment needed to be made based on the new DDA statutes or anything applies to it. So take a look at these. We'll have it on the agenda at the next meeting, and we'll have a draft prepared based on any feedback I get from anybody and the new statute. At the same time that we're talking about the DDA bylaws, I think this board should talk about the size of the board. The DDA statute, the state statute allows the size to be adjusted that means a change in the ordinance. We have 11 members now. That could contribute to some of our issues with quorum. It may be that it just the people that are appointed who couldn't make it anymore, but that is an option. I don't expect you to have a lot to say about that tonight or today, but at the next meeting, we will bring that to everybody's attention in terms of who's appointed and all that, because not only this board, but many of our boards, we're having a hard time getting people who have appointed to come. And it's oftentimes they mean well, but they simply can't make it for other reasons. And it's not, these are political appointments, but at the same time, they're very important. So if you're going to take a spot on the board, you really ought to show. And if you can't show, then the right thing to do is to move on. But this board has to be able to step up and say, this is what we think too. So could be that you decide to change the size. I believe you can do that by amending the ordinance. That would mean that you suggest to the city council that we go from, let's say, 11 to 9. It may be less difficult then for the mayor to keep the board filled. You know, if we got 11 and people are, and you can't find the people to volunteer, because this is work. We perceive it as work. We're taking, all of you people are business people, and you're taking time out of your day to come here. So we should be able to get everybody who's on the board to come. So next meeting, that's what we're going to have. We're going to have proposed changes, if nothing more than updates that may be required in the bylaws, and have a discussion about the size of the board. May be that nothing changes, but that's going to be on the agenda at the next meeting. So
Dennis, did this come up because of the COVID stuff, or after?
Not really. It's really because we're having a real hard time getting people to come, either by Zoom or in person.
It's just time to have that discussion. It's not just the DDA board, but many of our other boards, people have the intention, and then something comes up and they can't make it. Well, that puts the administration and the city council kind of in between a rock and a hard spot, because they rely on the boards and commissions to provide input. And most of the boards and conventions are really advisory. This board acts, so sometimes we need a vote, and without the vote, we can't do some things. So it really is simply a need. It's timely for a discussion. We need to have that discussion about the size of the board. It may not change, but we also need to update our bylaws and stuff like that. And it's not a big deal. If you see something that needs to change, or you have an idea of what could be done in our bylaws are required. And so I think it's time for the record to show we've updated them, and this board's looked at them and sent them on to city council. That's all we're saying about that. So we probably should move on.
One item, or actually 2 points. I'm assuming, I know Van will be looking over this document and telling us what we may need. And also, we don't want to change anything. You know, we were adopted in 1990, and our benefits, our structure of our DDA is different than the newly appointed or put together DDAs, so we don't want to change that either. So anything that we do, as long as it doesn't affect our status from 1990, and Van looks it over, I think we should be good.
The only way you get bylaws changed is if the city council approves them too. So the city lawyer, city attorney will ultimately see whatever suggestions are made in terms of even the size of it. So everything will go through the city attorney. So I'm not suggesting there's got to be wholesale changes, but to the extent that, well, the structure we have, we've changed that by necessity. You have a executive director who's also the city manager. That's not the way it was early on. We have a managing director who's also the assistant to the city manager. She's also deputy clerk. She's also the farmer's market manager. So, you know, to the extent that we need to take a look and see how that's all affected, that's all. So it's not complicated, and your point is well taken, and we're not looking to do any wholesale change. We're just looking to make sure it's consistent with what we are doing. That's it.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
New business.
Before I discuss the new business, I believe we also need approval of the minutes. We might have overlooked that, so I want to make sure
did.
we get that, approve the minutes from our February 8th meeting.
Need somebody to make a motion to approve the February 8th meeting minutes?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
Second,
Dublin supports.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Any opposed?
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
The
So,
The business grant program.
so the Growing Michigan Business Grant Program is a program that's being administered through the state of Michigan to distribute up to $409 million of the American Rescue Plan Act funds to be awarded through grants for businesses. And it's to provide resources that meet certain criteria. Provided in the packet is a FAQ sheet on the State of Michigan's website that outlines some of the criteria and application process for some of the businesses should you wish to apply. The application just opened up March 1st, and it will close at the end of March, so there is still time to apply, but it's through the State of Michigan. Just wanted to inform our businesses.
Okay.
Thank you.
Executive Director report.
Mr. Chairman, board members, we got a couple items today. We will call it a day to talk about roads, and that's actually good news. So while we've had things listed on the agenda, I want to start with the Pontiac Trail resurfacing project, which is number 3, but I would like to have the managing director give us a briefing on what that's about in terms of the funding, and then ultimately we'll have discussion from the board on some of the issues that we talk about there. Can you give us a little update on what that's about?
So as you all know, there are multiple programs and funding opportunities offered through Oakland County to address the road infrastructure and county roads. One of these programs offered through Oakland County is the Tri-Party Program. This program initially began in the early 1970s as a way to address gravel roads in Oakland County. And as the name suggests, the program is made up of 3 contributing organizations: the Oakland County Board of Commissioners, Oakland County Road Commission, and the cities, villages, and townships. Earlier this week, City Manager Witt executed an agreement to resurface Pontiac Trail from east-west Maple Road all the way down to the western city limits is what the contract is agreed for, but it'll also continue further down Pontiac Trail. I'd like to introduce DPW Superintendent Dan Ladd, who can give you a better timeline and some more information on the work that's going to be done.
Good afternoon, Board. Yes, so actually, the limits of the project will go all the way west of Wixom Road. So it's quite a long project. $700 and some odd $1,000 project. Our cost was $108,000 to the county. We're trying to coordinate with the county to try to get the project started and completed before May 30th for the Memorial Day Parade, which would be, it's a huge goal, but it is a goal that we're setting. We've been in communication with the people that do the scheduling for all the projects. They have several projects they're doing throughout the whole county. This is just one of them. So hopefully they'll be able to work with us and get started sooner than later.
Chairman Blair, if I may add to that. So the reason why we're discussing it here at our DDA meeting is not only does it go through our downtown district, but this is also an opportunity for the DDA board to entertain the idea of a public-private partnership, and perhaps in conjunction with this project happening through Oakland County, maybe improve some of the sidewalks with the project that's happening along Pontiac Trail.
I have a question. So when the resurface, are they just going to take up like so many inches of the asphalt and just?
Yeah, so that the process is they go through and they mill along the curb edges, and they do any reconstruction on the storm system that needs to be done, and then they just a 2-inch leveling course,
Right.
and then they put a 2-inch wear course on top.
Yeah, because some of the storm drains, as you know, down by Pontiac Trail and Walled Lake Drive, you could fall into those. It's like
yeah,
3
they're
feet
allowed.
deep. Right, okay.
So that's the process.
And then the public-private partnership on the sidewalks, can you elaborate? How would a business downtown get involved in that? At the Greenhouse, I'm always for whatever will improve our downtown. I'm on board for whatever it takes to get some of those sidewalks done, even if it's just our corner, because we're willing to chip in, and I'm hoping some of the other businesses downtown would step up, because there's been a lot of complaints, and I don't see a whole lot of people stepping up and making an effort from the business end to make that happen. So I'm here to do that, and hopefully some other businesses downtown will jump on. I'm just not sure what the process is.
Mr. Chairman, I can address that a little. The tri-party program, we committed our $108,000. I did with the signing of the contract, and the other two entities are committing theirs. But the total project, with all of the commitments, is $700,000. And so, as the superintendent says, they're going to cap the road. But now is the time to do whatever extra we can do for downtown Wall Lake, which would fall under your jurisdiction should you decide to do that. But we're talking about what's connected in a real way to the road itself. So any business entity that is connected to the roadway, they're not so far off, could partner with the DDA and/or the city in an agreement to contribute funding and then get on our bidding or anything we did in terms of putting sidewalks in. The tri-party program is about roads, but this is the time, we're going to do roads, it's the time to talk about making it more walkable. We're not talking about putting in new sidewalks always, we're talking about repairing old ones, fixing, adjusting, redoing. So in terms of what goes on down near downtown, it would be the corner areas and the butt up to Pontiac Trail, and that could accommodate a whole lot of stuff. So any business that was close enough there that wanted to partner with us, we could partner with the DDA. And partnering means, okay, you put some money in, you sweeten the pot, and we spend some DDA money to do that sidewalk. Now, this is not talking about going down East Lake Drive and spending DDA money to make businesses who don't contribute, businesses who are not good neighbors, better off. You know, that's happening too much. We need to partner with businesses that understand that they have to be good neighbors. So now's the time to do that. And in the case of the corners there, the businesses there, let's say I don't know what that is, a towing yard. I wish we could do something with that across, but there's a business there. Let's say they went in and said, look, we want our sidewalks changed while you're pouring concrete. Let's talk about doing that. You come in here, we sign an agreement with the DDA, and we say, okay, you contribute this, and we'll conclude that in our sidewalk pours. This also may be the time to talk about replacing some sidewalks that are damaged or putting in some small sections. We're not in the business of redoing everything there. It's going to be tough. But this is the time to talk about it. And not tonight, but we talk about it in terms of, hey, let's take a look at what we can do and get back. There's a lot of discussion about sidewalks and making it walkable all the way around from the western boundary. And so what's missing there and how to do that, that's time to talk about it. And some of that's in the DDA district. So some of that could be funded by the city's general fund. Some of it could be funded by DDA to the extent that the DDA believes that helps their business area. It is downtown development. So public-private partnership is exactly where to go when businesses think that they can improve their business by partnering with the city and getting better sidewalks or concrete pours and stuff like that.
The problem is how many businesses down there are going to actually want to contribute besides Jerry?
If it's just one, I'm in. And I'll bring it back bring it back to the DDA. If we're just doing those corners, that's fine with me. But any improvement down there, if we have to inch our way through, that's what we'll do. It's like football. Half the distance to the goal. We may not score the goal, but we get closer. And so if I've got one or two or three that partners with us because they want to improve their sidewalks, but remember, this goes all the way from Maple all the way down. So there's some business there that might say, hey, can you fix that? And I'm willing to sit down and discuss that, not only as your executive director, but as manager. So the city itself may find itself in a position of contributing some money. I think many of the council members, we have two council members here. We have Councilmember Osnick, and we got Councilmember Ambrose here, and they're all into sidewalks. I mean, that's one of the...
Hey, don't forget the mayor.
I said council members. I didn't say mayor. The mayor's here. I was going to leave you to last.
I'm still a council person.
And the mayor, they're all walkable. That's one of the very first things that we did downtown before I was the executive director. We started putting in sidewalks. As a matter of fact, one of the very first things I did was put a sidewalk in that was literally missing, and that was the connection between Wolverine Lake's walkable area and what would be Schumann's Place. There was like several hundred feet that they just didn't bother putting a sidewalk. So if you were coming out of Wolverine Lake, you had to walk on South Commerce to get over to the sidewalk again to get by the restaurant. So we fixed that. It was kind of silly that it wasn't done to begin with. We put sidewalks over on Decker Road. We took the property. We use our public, taking law, and we put sidewalks there. So we can do a lot through the DDA and/or the city, and I believe the city council continues to support sidewalks, and everybody in the room and on Zoom supports getting Pontiac Trail resurfaced. It is one of the worst roads we got. Decker is the worst road. Probably third is Ladd Road. But the next good news is, we ready to move on? Anybody got more?
One more item on Pontiac Trail. So we're hoping to get the Pontiac Trail resurfaced quickly.
Yeah.
We believe it's
So
coming.
what is the game plan to talk to the businesses about the sidewalk? You wanted to do it in conjunction with, or the sidewalks is really
It
a
takes a
future
motion
project?
of the board. Well, I'm going to do it anyway because I would bring it back if you didn't. But if there's support for that, instruct the DDA managing director, contact business and alert them that this is an opportunity, and we'll start having meetings with people who might want to fix their sidewalk who are connected to Pontiac Trail. I expect that there will be one or two that will want to meet like tomorrow.
The corner, I don't know if you guys have been, next time you go to the corner of Pontiac Trail and Walled Lake Drive, look at the corner of my building there. Whenever anybody comes downtown, they walk along that sidewalk, it's so bad, the road and the curbs, that they get splashed, terribly. I've seen people get just tidal waved, and some people do it on purpose. I watch cars intentionally splash people, and it's terrible. And I see it all the time, and I'm like, ugh. So I'm all in, because we need to fix it.
I went down there on Saturday to take a gander, and it's pretty bad.
It's bad. Yeah, that's why whatever it takes, we're
so
down
narrow.
100%.
I think they were built for people that were about 1.5 feet wide at one time, because them sidewalks down there are really narrow.
Yeah, they're pretty narrow, but Pontiac Trail, where the curb hits the road, it's just it's not even there. It's just been patched and patched and patched, and then unfortunately, DTE replaced 3 squares of sidewalk for us when they damaged some sidewalks when they were doing some electrical work. So they replaced them, but for some reason there's a driveway. There's not a curb. There's a driveway. So I specifically told them, make sure when you come back to redo this sidewalk, put a curb on it. And of course, they didn't, so they probably wasted $20,000 replacing a bunch of sidewalk, and it's still sloped down. So it's a hodgepodge down there, so I'm glad. And if you guys can do it by May 30th, man, that is phenomenal. So
Lublin will make a motion to instruct our director, managing director, to contact the businesses along Pontiac Trail and to set up some type of public-private partnership, and let's fix the sidewalks.
That's a good motion. That will work. And then what we'll do is any information we got, we'll move it ahead and then bring it back to the board whenever there's money involved. How about that?
Great.
Okay.
Can we get a second?
I'll second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is that the only area in the city that's got a sidewalk issue, is right there in downtown area, like down from Eddie's Party Store on the other side?
I think the answer is no. There's other areas there, but the questions, it really comes as which ones comes up first, what's the priority? The feedback I get is people want a walkable area going all the way around almost to Wixom, because you have to walk in the road in some places that are simply not existent, or there's a pathway.
All the way
No.
to Wixom they want to walk?
Well, that's what people say, but we don't control Wixom, but Novi put in sidewalks or walkable paths on the other side of the road in their jurisdiction some, like, the last few years. So that's walkable, but that dead ends, in Wixom, when you start walking up Pontiac Trail, after you get around the curve, you get past the plaza down there, then there's missing sidewalks, so you have to walk in the streets. I think that Some of the council members have actually talked about that. And so we may end up, with city money and/or whatever money it takes, filling those spots. But we got to figure out what's the best bang for the buck. It was pointed out to me that you can walk if you want to walk through the Villa's parking lot, but the question is that a solution that the Villa's really is private, even though it's funded with public money, but that may not be the solution. So people want to but when you start to take property to put in sidewalks, they all want money. So it's not as simple as just going over and putting a sidewalk in, and then the taking or the payment of that costs more than the benefit. So it's complicated, but it's not complicated to fix what's obvious, like the corners of the areas that are caving in and need to be redone based on the new arrangement and the roadways and stuff like that. We can do that. So we're going to try to put sidewalks in, but it certainly is not the only area that sidewalks are done. But the DDA should focus on its gateways and what's in their district. Gateways you can focus on because it does help downtown, as long as you're not gifting outside of the district and you're determining it's a gateway. But this is right downtown, so we start right there at Pontiac Trail and East Lake, or in the corners there. So that's where we start, and then anything else is identified, we can come back, and if the DDA can't do it, maybe the city can. So nobody objects to the walkable community. We've tried to make that happen in the last several years a lot.
If I may say, I think there are a lot of city sidewalks that needs fixed, but unfortunately, they're not in the DDA. You leave the downtown area and you walk towards down Wall Lake Drive, towards Ladd Road. It's kind of like, walking through the mountains because you're up and down in the valleys. We know those need fixed, but we got to find money for those. The DDA can't help us on those type of sidewalks. So we got to work slowly at it, but we got to begin someplace. And if we've got the money to help the DDA district, I think that's what we need to do. And that's where the people concentrate, they do their business. And I think it's important that we help those areas, and especially if they're willing to help themselves.
I think that
But I just don't feel that the DDA should provide a free lunch for everybody.
we don't believe that either. That's why we put on the table the public-private partnership. That can be as large. Again, I have the benefit of being involved in some of that in my other life. Matter of fact, the man sitting out there worked with me when he was a little smaller man.
Younger.
We did a $60 million public-private partnership, which provided housing to over 400 families. That was a long time ago. He was 21. By the way, meet Mr. Scott Schrader. He's our newest finance person. Ms. Pesta is going to be taking her family leave very shortly, and so we got backup. He'll never be able to replace her, but we got backup. He's temporary. She's permanent, but she's going to be taking that leave in a while, a couple weeks.
How long, like 1 week off?
A little longer.
No, say it isn't so.
Joe. Say it isn't so,
So,
Joe.
Joe.
Miss Joe Jackson. That's what the kids said, coming out of the courthouse. Say it ain't so, Joe.
Public-private partnership is really the way to go. It can work, it should work, and if I've got one person downtown that's willing to partner with us, then that's a success story, and we will do as much as we can to make that work. If we're only creating a template for Wall Lake, we will do that. We will do that instantly.
I agree.
And so Ms. Jakeway will be getting her stuff out as soon as she changes hat. I think she's also our assistant recreation director and everything else. So that's going to come, though. This is the year of getting stuff done. So Pontiac Trail, I think that's some of the best news that we had because it's coming quicker than most people thought. We all thought, even administration, and I think the mayor did too, that we would have Decker done by now, but all kinds of reasons happened there. So which takes us right into talking about those other things. We've got an update on let's talk about the Decker Road project. Ms. Jakeway, you have anything on that, or are you going to
I'd
just
like to defer
hand it
to
right over to?
Superintendent.
Operationally, these are our go-to guy, our superintendent, Dan Ladd. So Dan, give the board a total update on what we got on Decker.
Okay, great. So Decker Road went out for bid through MDOT, and the bid was approved last Friday. The total cost of the project, about $1.1 million. It's a federal aid project. It's a reconstruction project on Decker Road from 14 Mile to East-West Maple Road. It went out to bid. Like I said, the bid was awarded. On Friday, Cadillac Asphalt was the low bidder. So Cadillac Asphalt is going to be doing the project. The civil engineering had to go out to bid, and OHM was awarded the bid for the civil engineering. And let's see, on Tuesday, council, as soon as it's approved, then the bid, it will be awarded. And then 10 days after, they have to start within 10 days after the actual signature on the awarding of the project.
That's pretty quick.
That's very quick. So they're going to get started pretty quick. I imagine the starting of the project is going to be the placement of all the signs and warning signs and letting the general public know what's going on. But before any of that can take place, we had some great news today. They're actually doing the physical tie-in to our WA01, the water meter pit that serves the whole city of Walled Lake from Great Lakes Water Authority's main. So right now, currently, there's a 42-inch water main that comes down 14 Mile, feeds Walled Lake. The last couple of years, they've been putting in an 18-inch redundancy line parallel to that line that they're also tying into the pit. So if one goes down, the other one is automatically in service and will continue to feed the city. That also will allow them to do repairs on the 40 and 42-inch water main because it is over 20 years old now, and they're starting to have some depreciation of the system. So it's a great project that Great Lakes Water Authority did, and it's going to definitely benefit the city of Walled Lake, all residents and businesses. Looking forward to getting the project started. This project is more than just a milling like they're doing on Pontiac Trail and overlay. It's totally a crush and reshape, so they go in and pulverize all the asphalt, put in new curbs where needed. They're going to put curbs where there are no curbs, redo a lot of the storms infrastructure so we have good drainage, reshape the whole road, and then repave it with two-inch lifts of asphalt.
Perfect.
Any questions?
So also the 14, from M5 to the lake, the GLWA and the Oakland County Road Commission and the others are going to be resurfacing that entire piece as well.
That's correct, and we're going to be working with them to try to tie all the asphalt paving work in at the same time, so it's basically going to be one massive job.
It may
one
indeed
operation.
look like it's all part of the same project, but the superintendent's been instructed to try to coordinate all of that activity. And of course, they have to coordinate because we got traffic issues and stuff like that, but there won't be any totally closing of roads, so there'll still be access. And that will look like, and according to our information, they're going to redo the roads all the way from Woodby 5 all the way down to the lake. If that gets done, you got a pristine roadway there, then you got a pristine roadway which is our gateway. This board determined that it was the gateway. You've already done your share by committing the funds to doing sidewalks, so that's walkable. This whole project, the two of those, is going to look like one. There's going to be a whole lot of orange barrels out, not only there on Decker and on Pontiac. So we're going to a lot of activity coming. That's why I said earlier this is the day to talk about roads. So we're going to get stuff done. Pontiac. We won't. I don't know who's the contractor there or whatever, but Cadillac got the bid for
Decker.
When we did Decker, we did Decker from Maple all the way around to South Commerce. I'm not sure what year that was, but I know that they got the award. Help me out, Ms. Pesta. Did they not get the award for asphalt? So Ms. Pesta and I actually went to, was it Lansing, wherever we went, because who knew they had asphalt? I didn't know that. They have asphalt awards, So Ms. Pesta, on part of the the city of Wall Lake accepted the award for what they did in terms of the construction and asphalt some years ago. That was a while back, but so this company, they're pretty reputable. They've been around a long time. I'm sure you all know who they are.
Absolutely.
So having said that, we're hoping that they get the bid on 14 Mile. They get the 14-mile bid, and we're also doing Decker. That ties in very nicely, and it'll look like one smooth project, and the people in Wall Lake will be the beneficiary of that coordination. So we're counting on Mr. Ladd to make that happen as best we can. A lot of activity going on in the roads.
Who's doing the repaving on Pontiac Trail? Do we know?
No, we haven't got that information yet, and they haven't even put out a schedule for it.
If they got it, I'd be happy about that too, but we don't control that part. You know, they do have to go through the bidding process, and Cadillac's pretty good in terms they understand, they want to work, and they give some pretty good bids, and they do pretty good work based on, you know, the industry. They've gotten the awards, and it was kind of fun to go up to Lansing the first time. I think it's the first time I've ever been there. That's that long ago. That was some years ago, but Ms. Pesta went up and accepted the award, and, you know, because we have a really good street there. It was amazing, you know. That takes us up to the next project. Ms. Jakeway, you want to talk? Or you
I'd like to defer to.
Well, thank you.
Okay, next project, Phase 1, Mercer Beach improvements, infrastructure, stormwater management project, starting right at the shoreline of the beach. Tomorrow, they're going to be delivering the largest component of the project. It's a storm scepter, very large, 12-foot by 12-foot, 10-foot tall. All the water from the downtown area will go through that storm scepter. It separates all the heavy metals, sand, debris out of the water, and then discharges the water into the lake. So it's a great benefit for everyone, you know. From environmentally, it's a great project. And then they're also going to continue from the storm scepter up into the parking lot. They're going to down there removing all the curbs, all the asphalt, replacing it all the sidewalks, putting in new storm infrastructure up and down East Walled Lake Drive, across Walled Lake Drive to Witherall. So it's going to be a great project.
Will they be closing Walled Lake Drive?
No, Walled Lake Drive will remain open. They may do temporary lane closures. We're going to try our best to keep it open. And if it does shut down, it would only be for an afternoon or something like that.
Perfect.
So that's the Mercer Beach project, Phase 1. Hopefully, we get that done very quickly and then move right into Phase 2 because we do have a deadline for the Phase 2 grant project. So.
Let me add to that, Mr. Chairman. The council gave permission to the city attorney to withdraw the lawsuit for the taking of the easement on the Tiki Bar property. Tiki Bar was demanding too much money. I gave instructions to the consulting engineering firm to redesign it, so we do not need that anymore. We were putting it on our already acquired access land property. Recently, we discovered that perhaps that some of the construction from the restaurant itself is actually on city property, based on the new survey. So this is an interesting twist in the activities going downtown. So I'll bring you the news on that whenever that develops. But we are not taking the property. I think the board and the council members who are here and the mayor, she knew about that, but we are putting it on already a city-owned property. So we're not going to pay somebody $160,000 for an easement to put stuff underground. And that was my call, and the board, the city council supported me on withdrawing that lawsuit.
Good call.
Yeah, it's, I prefer to work with good neighbors,
Good corporate
good
citizens.
corporate neighbors. Yeah.
Okay.
We're close to the end of this meeting if, you know, the discussion about other stuff can happen, but what else we got? Ms. Jakeway, we got anything else?
Warrant report.
Warrant report.
Before we go to the warrants, I have one item, just want to report on, I talked to Randy Thomas, the broker representing the school on the school piece at Maple and Pontiac Trail. He still can't believe that the state has not given the final environmental approval yet. He said that he has worked on pieces that are glowing, and this one does not have as much remediation necessary, and those properties were done faster. So he's not sure why, but he does believe it's at the end of the line, and the state will then, give their approval based upon some restrictions, like no basements, no water extraction, or whatever they're going to do. When it's finally approved, that's when they start marketing it. So that's the update.
What are they waiting for?
Because they want to know the restrictions to tell the developers, this is the parameters that you can.
Yeah, the developer will not go, no developer would go in not knowing what they can build, and so it's just speculation what can go there. Why the state didn't do it, I do not know that, but I know that they had many inspectors over there drilling and checking and all of that, so it's been a long process. I think a lot of us knew that was going to be a long process to begin with. Some people were jumping out and saying it's going to get done quickly. Never thought that, because there was always the underground issues. And that happens with most of the old communities where there's a lot of stuff underground. In Wall Lake, basically is a mother to a lot of surrounding communities. This area here is what gave birth to the surrounding community. So there's a lot of stuff from the old days. And that school was around for a very long time. I think they probably had their own gas pumps then, and oil stuff, a lot of underground stuff. So cleanup is costly. The developer, whoever goes in there, is going to do two things. They're going to say, okay, they're going to have some kind of protection clause in their purchase agreement. They'll do their own check. But if you go in there and you can't put basements in, or you can't put certain things there, it's going to restrict what that's going to be used for, which means it won't be as valuable as everybody thinks, and there's not going to be some big development until that's all settled. And so I think Councilmember Lublin is on the mark by giving that report today. I don't expect that to happen anytime soon. Not in the next. We're going to see other things happen before that gets developed. Even the proposal. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I didn't know that Randy was,
We're still waiting on a state approval.
Yeah, but we knew that. I mean, I think Randy did too, but he's frustrated, and they want it all done. But the state, they're not in a hurry. I've met the people from the state, and they've been there any number of times. So I do not know why. They won't tell us that, but we'll get a report soon. We'll get a report, and we'll probably.
Report is issued, that's when.
If we get the report, we will report that to this board, because certainly they need to know, and the city council and the mayor, they'll want to know that to start with, so. Thanks, Bennett.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the warrants?
I'll make the motion to receive and file and approve the warrants as presented.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Opposition? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're good.
We got anything else anybody wants to give instruction to? We got a lot cooking this summer, so it looks like there's not going to be a whole lot of heavy snow. Dan says there's not going to be any more, right, Mr. Superintendent? No more.
We'll take it. 0.
So we're working. You're going to see the cones up everywhere. It's going to be annoying, but I think you'll be really pleased that finally they're getting Pontiac Trail and Decker done, and both of them are come a little sooner than we expected, even a few weeks ago.
They won't need to shut Pontiac Trail down, right? Just
No,
one
they
lane at a
will not.
time, or
No,
everything will be redirected, right?
they'll probably do one lane at a time.
Right.
Northbound one day or 1 week, and then south, turn on to south. It moves very quick. That's
Right.
why they really like this project, to try one part of just the resurfacing. It's very fast, very minimal impact to the communities involved. They do, one problem we might have is they do like to avoid the school areas until school's out. So we do have a school on the Wixom end.
Right.
That could maybe slow down, hopefully just that end, and not our end.
The remove and replace method, you can drive right on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Remarkable.
How long do you think that project's going to last on Pontiac Trail?
Memorial-
Between,
I'm going to
like,
say 2 to 3 weeks.
between Maple and East Lake?
Except in front of Murray's, they're going to close that down for probably a month.
Great. Hey, I've been through that.
That's why I said.
It was not fun.
You have been through that, haven't you?
Yeah.
I've read the paperwork. You won.
I won.
I
I
know,
filed a
I know.
class action against them.
I know. Mayor, you going to
The
be,
bulldozer,
Mayor, you going to be in town this week?
yes.
I hope to hit town first thing Saturday morning.
You can come down here and count the cones, because we're going to get them out there sooner than later. You'll be happy. Love those cones, right?
I'll be down.
Good to see you.
Motion to adjourn?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Adjourned.